Hi guys, I have another Copic coloring and card tutorial for you today. I'm going to color Jena Bluebird by Make It Crafty. And the challenge over at Make It Crafty this month is hair, coloring hair. So I thought this image would be perfect. Also, I'm doing a different way of coloring hair today. So I thought I actually talk you through what I'm doing. So a little bit more of a talkative video today. I hope you enjoy that. When it comes to the skin, I'm again using my BV 01 for the darkest shadows, and then I'm using my usual skin colors. There is also a list down below where I have all of the Copics that I'm using for these images, as also the supplies that I've been using when I did the card. But for the hair today, as I said, I'm doing it a bit different. I am actually not doing any flicks. I'm basing this hair with the wire 000 to actually wet the paper. Then I'm going in with a very dark orange, which is wire 7. But because of the paper being a little bit wet, I can actually blend on top of that with the YR02 and actually soften that YR07 quite a lot. I chose not to go with the YR04 this time because it's a little bit too yellow in its orange, and I wanted this to kind of have more of a peachy feeling. I'm actually ending up covering the YR000 up with the YR00, but I'm still basing the whole hair with the YR000 because it actually affects the color. Copic pencils are a bit transparent, so therefore all colors you layer on top will be seen. The way I'm working here is that I'm trying to kind of give the illusion of motion by giving the hair's edges being a little bit lighter, so they are reflecting the light, so the hair will feel a little bit more bent, basically. Personally I had issues when I started coloring these images, and I figured that it was because the way I usually color hair just didn't work. It was my technique that didn't work. So I went onto the Make It Crafty store and went and looked at the gallery photos for this specific image, or actually for all the Meadow Girl images, because they have similar hair. And I saw a couple of them that actually had similar hair to this, so I kind of tried it a couple of times, figuring out how I would do it, so it would work with how I color. And this is basically what I came up with. I do have another image on my blog from yesterday where I color her sister, sort of, in some grey violets with this same hair way of coloring. I actually really liked it. It fits these images pretty good. But yeah, it's very simple. I just blend out the YR7 with the YR2, then I again blend out the YR2 with YR1, and I finish it off with the YR00. So it's just how I add the darker orange in the middle. And I'm not flicking. I'm really trying to blend them together more into the paper. Then when it comes to the rest of the image, I'm trying to use a very limited color scheme because I found that it makes my images a little bit more cohesive. It's much easier to find 1 or 2 colors that work together than finding 4 or 5 colors that work together. And also, I actually not using any kind of earth tones in this image, and usually you can add earth tones and grays. You can actually add pretty much how many you want in an image, different ones, while when you're working with colors you want them to kind of match, and most earth tones match together. In this case I'm using the green for the birds, the bows and her shoes and her eyes, and then I'm going to use a purple on her on the flowers. I am going to use the same kind of violet purple in the matting to kind of bind it better into the image, because just on the image it felt like they were a little bit disconnected, so I have the same colors on the matting, the borders of the card. I'm using the cold grays to give some dimension to the white parts on her dress, and then I'm starting with the background. This is going to be a full background. I'm not cutting her out this time. I'm making this kind of a square image, and I start with the ground. I'm using the warm grays. I really like using the warm grays for the ground. Could also have added some grayish browns, but in this case I stayed with the warm grays, and I kind of like the outcome. I started basing this with a W00, but in the end it's actually going to be based with the W1 because I felt the W00 was a little bit too light. Then we have the sky. The sky is made out of B00, B00 and B000, and I'm basing it with the B00, not being really thorough when I'm filling it out, because I know I'm going to go over it with other colors, and that will actually give a smoother coloring in the end. I'm going to use the B00 to shadow underneath the clouds to kind of give that a little bit more of a definition, and then the top half of the sky is going to be in the B000 and the bottom half is going to be in the B00, because if you look at the sky it's actually darker on top than it is at ground level. So that's why I've done that. I'm also going to add some grass with the G02 and the G00. By using that very light green I'm actually getting some extra dimension in the grass, and then I'm adding some extra dimension with the cold grays in the clouds. Then I'm doing my card base, and I'm starting by matting that image with the purple, as I said, to kind of tie in the purple a little bit more in the card. I would also actually have used purple colors on the sentiment in the end if I had them, but I hadn't, so I've chose to make them blue instead. Then I'm making a card base. I was lucky. I actually in the end cut everything down so that that mat and image fitted perfectly on the width of an A2 card, but it's a little bit shorter than an A2 card. Then I'm just taping all the layers together before adding a sentiment. For the sentiment I'm using these chipboard letters called Doodle Worlds, and they are made by Make It Crafty also. They're very simple to kind of detach. You just push your craft knife down at those things that keep them together, and then you have it all free and nice. I'm going to color that because I felt the natural sort of disappeared. I'm starting off with some gesso, Studio Claudine Helmet gesso. It's a very thick gesso, so I'm actually gonna mix it out with some water so it got a kind of milky consistence, and then I am brushing that on. I'm actually layering a couple of times, heat setting in between to get it as white as I want it. I'm also removing all of the kind of air bubbles before heat setting so that the gesso doesn't stick together. After I have layered, I think 3 times or 4 times and heat set in between, I'm gonna color this. I'm started out actually with 2 different colors, the tumbled glass and the broken china, and I kind of had the idea of giving it a mottled effect. But after I actually colored it and got that mottled effect, I realized that tumbled glass is a little bit too close in color to the sky, so the letter kind of disappeared in it. I'm using my fingers to color this by just dabbing the color, and that is actually, it's very easy, and you can just use a baby wipe to wipe it off. So yeah, I think that is much easier than trying to use a brush, because the brush kind of puts the color in between the letters, leaving you kind of those air bubbles or such that I had before. After heat setting that as a last time, I'm gonna add it to my card, and I'm doing that with some multimedia matte, also by Claudine Helmet. I really like that glue because it dries matte, so you don't see it if it actually seeps out a little bit outside the thing you are gluing on, and also it actually stays on the card very good. It have a very good stickiness when it has dried, so I don't have to worry about it falling off later. And that actually finishing the card for today. I wanted the kind of coloring to talk for itself. But thank you so much for watching. If you like it, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. If you have any comments, just comment down below. And as I said before, all of the details of materials I used is in the comment section, and there is also a link to my blog there. So thank you again, and I see you later. Bye!